This is Pucks and Seven with Ryan Payton and Victoria Maniash.
Again, early still in this campaign. We're not in the first month, that's fine. But just the first impressions you've had by watching this team.
Yeah, so it's funny. It's a familiar feeling. And I just wrote this yesterday and a little bit this morning too. It's a familiar feeling because we all saw what the Devils did in 2022-23.
Yeah.
And we saw how dominant they could be as that skill rush team. However, then they were, these kids who didn't know any better. And now a few years later, it's the same feeling, just a way more mature approach to it. They're all business. There's no panic in their game right now. And it's been a great start for them. So you just see, and the word that's been thrown around with this team a lot so far this year is maturation. And you could see it right away. They've matured so much. And you could see it in their game. They maybe don't have the best starts. That's something that they're working on, but there's no panic. Whereas they used to let themselves sink into that slow start and then allow those games to get away from them. They're not doing that anymore. And it's really apparent at the beginning of the season.
How much of an impact in the maturation process has Sheldon Keefe had on this group already?
Yeah, he's been huge. And that's the thing, like the calmness behind the bench to not worry about getting down a goal has just been contagious on the bench. They play this calm game. They have this really unique approach that we haven't seen for the Devils, where they're not trying to, score 4 goals at once. You would see that sense of urgency in their game, and I say urgency in almost a negative way, where they were trying to do too much. You would see Jack Hughes try to take it all upon himself. He's not doing that anymore. You would see, Timo Meier try to score 4 goals in one shot, which we know can't happen, right? And he's not doing that anymore. They're just staying simple. They're sticking to their game, and they're not moving away from their structure, which has been huge for them so far. It's really refreshing to see this new sense of maturity that hasn't been present before. And it all starts with Sheldon putting that structure in that we haven't seen. He had his first season with the team last year. Some injuries got them down, and they were a first round exit, obviously. But after this summer and having that first year under their belt and knowing what to expect coming into training camp, it's a totally new vibe around this team.
You need to have a good vibe for this team, and they're certainly doing that. How well does Connor Brown fit in? And also, I was reading a little bit about Leon's advice.
Yeah, he's been excellent. I mean, the number one priority for this team this summer was to acquire depth scoring. And he provides exactly that. And he fits right in. And he said the reason why he picked the Devils was because he felt they fit his skill set. And it's true. He's very fast. He knows how to score, but he does everything. The guy's a Swiss Army knife. He kills penalties. He could go on the power play if they needed him to. And he's just been so good. So both in the locker room and on the ice, he's been a really good fit as a veteran who's been, to the Stanley Cup twice in a row. Obviously, came up just short with the Oilers, but he has that experience. He knows what it takes to win, and he's been, really bestowing that wisdom on guys like Jack Hughes, who he has said, I love having this guy around. He's been great. And he just does all of the little things right. And, the other day he laughed, right? He got that shorthanded breakaway. And he goes, Leon told me always, go backhand, forehand. And I thought I'd try it, and it worked. So he's been excellent. And, I can't say more good things about Connor Brown, who can play anywhere in the lineup, top 6, bottom 6, any role. He's been really, really good for this team.
When you get advice from Leon, I'd say take it, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing for Connor, though. If he gets another chance at that, the goalies are going to know what he's going to do. So he's got to figure out another move with that. You mentioned the Hughes, Jack, Luke. Again, you got to add Quinn to that mix. How much traction is this Quinn and uniting the brothers at some point together in New Jersey? I mean, I know it's been talked about, and here and there and there. This is just kind of smoke and mirrors thing right now.
Yeah, I wonder. I obviously, with the Rutherford comments that started the smoke, right? And there's been some fanning of the flames since then that keeps that storyline coming. It just keeps popping back up here and there. Everybody asks Jack about it. Everybody asks Luke about it. I do wonder if, you look at the assets the Devils have. They have all of these defenders who they have not offset yet. Seamus Casey's a guy who's not playing right now, but he has an NHL future. Simone Nemitz is playing well this season. But they're loaded on the blue line. You wonder if there's, something in the future for him on the Devils or it's somewhere else, right? He would be, I think, probably a main piece in a Quinn Hughes trade. They have that kid Anton Silyev, who's over in the KHL, who's supposed to be a monster. You wonder if he's going to be, involved in some sort of deal. I understand wanting to be careful with this and wonder, like, is this just all talk or is it possible? But for some reason, all of these assets that the Devils still have on the blue line, right? There's only 6 positions, and then there's a seventh defenseman, but they have so many defenders that I do wonder if they're stockpiling some of these assets to use later. Otherwise, they would have been used already, right? Why didn't they, maybe do a little bit more at the trade deadline last year when they were going to the playoffs, despite the Jack Hughes injury, right? So yes, right now I don't think there's anything imminent, but at some point I would not be surprised to see this really come to fruition.
Anything to do with, and I've been reading this and just kind of keeping the ears open with this, Tage Thompson and possibly with the Devils. I mean, I was hearing things that the Devils would be all in on something like that if that were to actually come to be.
Yeah. I don't know, like nothing on the player specifically, but I do have a feeling that, whether it's Quinn or someone like Tage Thompson, that this would be the season where the Devils
right
big
someone
and I referenced earlier this in this show, this feels like 2022-23, right? Well, what was the big move they made then? Timo Meier, right? So now they need another big piece in the top 6. I believe. I think they've needed it for the past few seasons after losing Tyler Toffoli. And a guy like Tage Thompson, look, if Buffalo's going to sell, I mean, the word around the Devils is that they need to get a little bit bigger. They need to get a little bit stronger, right? Who better than Tage Thompson?
Tage Thompson,
40 goals and work really well in that top 6, whether he plays center or moves Jack Hughes to the wing, or if he plays on the wing for Jack Hughes. So I think he would be a great fit. Obviously, it would take a lot, and that's maybe what I mentioned with hoarding these assets that could be moved. But yeah, someone like Tage Thompson or even an Alex Tuck, who might cost you a little bit less. That guy would be a great fit too. So I would be on the lookout near March at the trade deadline for the Devils to do something big, because I think this year they know we got to take another step. And in doing that, Fitz does need to provide as well.
Staying with contracts and potential things down the road, where are things at with the Jacob Markstrom discussions on a new one?
Yeah, the word is multi-year extension. He loves it in New Jersey, and they love having him. I think the relationship, as far as the personalities, has been a perfect fit. He loves being there, and they love having him. And it's interesting. Like you do wonder how long you want to go on this when it comes to the AAV. I think he wants something north of $5 million or at $5 million. You saw Jake Allen sign that 5-year deal, but he only signed for 1.8. So it's you're able to eat that at the end of that contract if it doesn't work out long term. I do think Allen has the work ethic and the fitness to be able to last the duration of the contract. But you wonder a little bit about Jacob Markstrom with some injury history, right? He has been injured last season. He's injured again now. So you wonder, how much they want to commit long term when it comes to those injury scares. But there's no doubt that when Jacob Markstrom's at the top of his game, look, I think he's a number 1 goaltender, no doubt. But when he's at the top of his game, you do see Vezina-like performances.
Sure, I agree.
He was excellent in November last year. I mean, he was the reason why they went on that absurd streak of games where they didn't win any more than 3, but they won 3, they lost 1, and then they won another 3, and a lot of that had to do with Jacob Markstrom's performance. So if he never got injured last year, I was putting him in the Vezina conversation with Connor Hellebuck. I don't think anybody was taking it from him, but I think he was, he was going to be on Team Sweden. He was going to be their starting goaltender. And there's a reason why they want to keep him around long term. He's a game-breaking goaltender. And so I keep hearing, yes, long term, but the sticking point right now is just how much is that going to cost them per year? We know the cap's going up. He knows that. His agent knows that. So right now it's just trying to figure out where that sweet spot is.
Let's talk Metro Division quickly. The only true undefeated team left in the league are the Carolina Hurricanes. Are they the cream of the Metro crop?
Yeah, they certainly are. And you saw what they did to the Devils in game 1. And, I'm interested to see how the Devils handle that in the second meeting. I don't think they meet again until February. But they did not look like how they have in the past 4 games where there's no panic in their game and a much more mature approach. I think game 1, they had to get the jitters out, and it was a tough test going into their building and knowing that this is where they were eliminated, and always having, that to overcome, that hurdle to overcome in the Hurricanes was maybe a bit weighing on their minds. But now they got that out of the way, and they have a couple more meetings, and yes, they're the cream of the crop. Nobody works harder than that team, right? They're a great team. They're built well, but they don't necessarily have superstar power like the Devils do, right? They have Jack Hughes, they have Jesper Bratt. I put Timo Meier in that category as well. Nico Hischier. Sure. And that's no knock on the Hurricanes, right? They have really excellent players. Sebastian Aho is a star. Andrei Svechnikov is an excellent player, right? Seth Jarvis, excellent player. Jacob Slavin, right? These are some guys who are constantly talked about in the underrated category, though, whereas the Devils have these players who are bona fide superstars. So once they get that structure and work ethic, which I have seen over the past few games, down as well as the Hurricanes do, obviously a Rod Brindamore-led team is always going to have that structure. I think they'll go toe-to-toe with them, no problem, and I would love to see a series with them again, because I think the outcome, even if it's the same, the series would be much different.
The Islanders drafted Matthew Schaefer, number 1 overall. From what I've seen and read, the guy is just an incredible human being at such a young age. We all know the things that he went through off the ice and continues to go through. I saw his grandfather saying something the other night about all that. Anyway, the sky's the limit for him. Just your thoughts on him and coming into the league, being a number 1 pick, but also with all the things that you've gone through at that ripe age. That to me is just something that he's matured in leaps and bounds, I think, so quickly, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking to a couple scouts about this guy because I haven't seen him firsthand too much. I saw him in a handful of games. But from what I have seen, I was like, oh my goodness, like this guy's skating like he didn't just come from the CHL. He's skating like he just came from he played in the NHL last year. Like, I can't believe how good of a skater he is. And I said to somebody, I said, there's been a lot of comparisons thrown around in his game to Cale Makar. I'm like, are we premature here, or are we bang on? And a couple of scouts were like, listen, I don't throw this term around loosely, but we're looking at a potential generational defenseman here. And I said, really? They said both on the ice and off the ice. Generational person for sure. Talent wise, I might not have said that 6 months ago when he was, still recovering from that injury that he suffered. But now that I've seen what he can do in the NHL, we might be having that conversation of, yes, this guy might be a generational talent all around. So you were bang on with how great of a person he is off the ice. I mean, I think upwards of 10 to 15 Islander players wanted him to live with them, which, you don't hear storylines like that too much, but it was a big deal with how many people were like, come live with us. He's just a great person. He's overcome so much adversity early in his life, and that's just made him, a great person. As an 18-year-old, he's almost like a veteran in the room, where you can see captain's material in him in the future, and maybe in the not so distant future.
I'd say,
he's coming to the league and taking it by storm. I wanted to not believe the Cale Makar comparison so early, but I mean, I've had 3 or 4 scouts say to me, no, it's pretty bang on. So
it's a real deal.
It's incredible to see.
Last one before we get into 77 seconds with you. McDavid signing that extension, 2 years, 25, AAV 12.5. Your thoughts on that? The first thought that came to your mind when you read that, but also too, some of these contracts. I know there's some still you signed for 7 in long term, but the Lane Hudson deal, that's a bargain. A lot of these really star players seem to be signing for less money, even though it may be a long term. But now the focus really is, okay, the cap's going up, but I really want this team to win. Yes, money is important. Money is one thing. But the McDavid deal is exactly that. He's giving Edmonton, saying the money you're saving, it's right back in your pockets. Just kind of your thoughts on the landscape. Are we going to see more of these contracts with these star players going to be for an AAV a lot less than many people think?
I think you should. I think that's one of the things is when Connor McDavid signed that deal, I literally, the first thing I thought was, oh, the players are not going to love this, right? Because everybody wants a little bit more. But who does love this? The Edmonton Oilers, because Connor McDavid, being the leader that he is and the captain of that team, said, look, sign me for the same deal. The money is not what I need. What I do need is I need to win a championship. Build a team around me. I'm giving you the pathway to do that. I'll sign for a short-term 2-year deal. Yes, maybe I'll cash in later, but right now we're so close. We need to win. And now that gave all the other 31 GMs in the league the ammunition to turn around to their star players and be like, if he could take less, the best player in the league, so can you. So let's do that. And then you turn around and you look at what the Montreal Canadiens are doing, like you mentioned, Lane Hudson taking less, right? And that's over an 8-year deal. Now he's working at 8.8, I believe, something like that. When I was projecting him after Luke Hughes' contract, that was signed 7x9 to make upwards of 10, maybe $11 million.
Easy.
And when it came at 8.8, I was like, wow, that's surprising to me. So right now, all the GMs have the ammunition to be like, Connor McDavid took less. Are you telling me that you can't do the same? And I'm wondering about that. And in the Devils scope, I'm wondering about that with Nico Hischier in 2 years when McDavid has 1 year left on his contract. I really want to know what those negotiations are going to look like. But I think that you're going to start seeing, or you could start seeing some of these star players taking less money than they would have originally. I think Jack Eichel's another example. No reason why he couldn't have just signed for $15 million, but he takes 13, and that's again on a rising cap when it's going to be upwards of 105 in a couple of years. That's actually not too bad of a number. So I think it takes a little bit from both sides, a little bit of give to get in this league, especially with a salary cap. So, the fact that Connor McDavid did that for the next 3 years, because he's got that 2-year extension doesn't kick in until next year. For the next 3 years, GMs have all the bargaining power to say he took less, so can you.
Yeah, selfless act by the best player on the planet. Okay, let's get into 77 seconds. Again, there's no timer on this. We just do 7 questions in 77 seconds. So here we go. Most underrated Devil on the team in your mind?
Great question. On the team in my mind, most underrated right now, I'm gonna go with Luke Glendening. Okay. He has come in. I mean, this guy was a PTO player. And he converted on a contract, league minimum. But the Devils, they brought in a guy like Juho Lammikko, who was over in the SHL. He was projected to be the full-time bottom 6 center. There were a couple other candidates who could have taken over that role, but he came in and through his ability to win upwards of like 65 to 70% of his faceoffs on any given night, his relentless work on the penalty kill, and just his defensive game overall. Right now, I don't think enough people are talking about just how good of an addition Luke Glendening has been to the New Jersey Devils. Obviously the Jesper Bratz and the Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier are going to be the motor that revs the engine. But the work that Luke Glendening puts in the bottom 6, he's gelled really well with anybody they put on his line. Paul Cotter is another guy who maybe could be in this category as well. He's been really good. But Luke Glendening, to me right now, stands out as probably the most underrated Devil, because he just puts in such good work every day that maybe goes unnoticed because he's not, maybe lighting it up on the score sheet.
Fashion's a big deal in the NHL. Who is the best dressed Devil?
Timo Meier, hands down.
That was quick.
Yeah, hands down. Every time he has something new on, it's so diverse too. One day it could be a nice suit, the next day it's a nice turtleneck and slacks, and you're just like, this guy has great fashion. I think it's the Swiss gene in him.
It's gotta be.
He looks excellent every day. So it's Timo Meier for sure.
Oh, I'm envious of those guys. They make anything look good, right? They make anything look good. 3-on-3 overtime. There's been discussion of extending it, the shootout. What's your ideal overtime?
The players don't want more time, and I get it because they're gassed, right?
Yeah.
Nathan McKinnon was on the record saying like that would be tough because listen to me huff and puff now, and we've been done for 10 minutes. But I think maybe extend it maybe another 2 minutes. Okay. I think you'll see some more tired legs giving out, and that could lead to more goals. So I think 7 minutes, try it out at the AHL level, maybe try it out at the ECHL level, see how that goes. Add 2 more minutes, not 5. And I think we might be working with a solution there, because that extra 2 minutes could really make all the difference.
Do you like the shootout or no?
No.
Or do you want it? Do you want? Okay, so yeah, you want to see games done in OT. You're like me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eastern Conference sleeper pick this season.
Good question. Sleeper pick. I think after Todd McClellan called out the Detroit Red Wings.
Good call.
After he called them out, they've been playing real well.
They have.
I know Tampa maybe not has had the best start, but they overcame that hurdle the other day. That was an impressive win to me. And I love Dylan Larkin. I think he's an excellent player and he's a great leader. And they're given all of the leeway to the kids. That Sandine Pellick is in. He's playing real well. They just lost Lucas Raymond. That's tough, but they're winning without him right now. Patrick Kane, I heard, looks really good. I haven't given him a close look, but I heard he looks really good.
Yeah,
so I think that, and he's playing with, obviously he has to Brinkett there. James and Reemsdyke has been a nice addition for them. So I think they might be a sleeper here this season. The addition of John Gibson was huge for them.
Yeah, I agree.
So, if he can continue to just give them steady goaltending, I think look out for the Detroit Red Wings.
Who wins the cup?
That's a really, really tough question.
A lot of options.
Yeah, I have the final with the Oilers, and I think the Devils could make it.
Edmonton back again.
I think they're back again, and I think the Oilers win this time.
They're going to do it. Okay. And then McDavid's contract looks really good. That's what I was going to say. If Edmonton wins this thing and then he looks back and think, oh, maybe I should have just held out and not signed till we won and then signed somewhere else, whatever. Anyway. Okay. So Edmonton against New Jersey. That would be good. Last one. Do you still have plans to teach?
What, hockey?
You got your teachers college.
Yeah. No, listen, I'd love to stay in the field I'm in now, so hopefully I can stay here. So hopefully this is it for me. So it's been going well so far.
Awesome. James, I've had spoken to you over the years a number of times. This has been great. Appreciate this. Love your work as well. Keep it up. And we will do this again soon. I've certainly enjoyed it.
Appreciate it, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
This has been Pucks in 7, available on the SiriusXM app and wherever you get your podcasts.